A very good evening, Your Excellencies, Presidents, Vice Presidents, Prime Ministers, the Honorable Secretary General of the United Nations, Ministers, distinguished invitees, ladies and gentlemen. It is our proud privilege to welcome you all to this event to launch the International Solar Alliance. We would like to begin the event with a brief video on the vast potential of solar energy. I now invite the Honourable President of the Republic of France, Monsieur François Hollande, to address the gathering.
Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, who is at the initiative of this meeting that I wanted to place in the beginning of the climate conference, heads of states and government who are also associated to this approach, representatives of corporations who are very much involved in new energy, clean energy sources. We are here together to promote an idea, an ambition, and a requirement. The idea is to give to countries whose only resource sometimes is to have sunshine, the means to ensure their development. The ambition is the one that we must carry forwards to ensure technology transfer. And we must also allow for there to be financing that can be brought together for the purpose of the development of renewable sources of energy. During his visit to Paris, Prime Minister Modi had presented to me the objectives that he had fixed for his country in the field of solar energy. And he had raised the idea of an alliance that could be set up, including countries that had the biggest capacity to develop this potential. 8 months down the road, we are launching this initiative together, the Indian Prime Minister and myself, because we can no longer accept the paradox that I mentioned. Namely, the countries with the largest potential in solar energy only represent a very small share of solar energy production. Now, these countries concentrate the majority of world population, and it is in these countries that everybody does not have access to electricity. So how do you actually work to reduce inequalities and ensure development? It is through technology and the financing that we will get there. Prime Minister Modi uses an expression, and I adopt it for myself, climate justice. That is what remains for us to do. Not just for the Asian continent or a big country like India, but for all of Africa. And France, once again here, wished to take the initiative to mobilize financing during this conference, use our technology, share them, so that Africa can have access to energy and electricity thanks to the solar. Climate justice is also to reduce cost in order to allow for this change, for this transfer. And this, once again, I quote Prime Minister Modi, is a change in paradigm, a paradigm change. If I look at all the national contributions to reduce greenhouse gases, there will be 1.2 billion in investments between 2030. Now, we must make sure that a part of these investments actually go towards the solar. For this, we must have a shared policy, or at least a harmonization of our methods and technology. And I'll take an example. In India, the grouped purchase of low consumption bulbs has reduced the price of the bulbs by 10. Imagine if we applied this policy worldwide and we'd be able to develop technologies for solar energy that would be spread and disseminated to millions and millions of inhabitants around the planet. We would then necessarily have a scale effect and therefore a reduction in prices. Now, to trigger off this process, we need to have an initial funding, and that can but come from the states and therefore public financing. And that is the reason for which I'd like to thank all the countries who are represented here to have this will. And I'm thinking of the Netherlands, because Netherlands wish to associate them to France to put forward public financing. And we must then make sure that there is transfer of technology towards developing countries and to have the lowest possible price for the use of renewable energies. Now, the Solar Alliance that we are setting up today is the alliance of countries that want to seize the opportunity of a resource, the sun-abundant resource, inexpensive source, as it were, in order to increase the number of installations and to create greater and more abundant demand. Solar Alliance is the alliance of countries that have the necessary resources for solar energy. The alliance that we're setting up is the partnership of states with private stakeholders, equipment manufacturers, energy manufacturers, financiers, but also researchers from around the world. The Solar Alliance is the alliance of citizens who exchange applications and technologies, because solar energy is a participatory one. I would like to conclude with this simple idea, but which must transform our mindset, change our mindset. There are countries that have built their wealth on coal. Others later built it on oil and gas. These are energies of yesterday, and they are no longer energies of today, lesser and lesser so. Wealth tomorrow will come from new energies that will be developed everywhere in the world, and namely solar energy. And what we are putting in place, this alliance, is an avant-garde of countries that believe in renewable energies. And the Paris Accord will offer prospects of considerable development for renewable energies. And what we are showing here this afternoon is already an illustration of the future Paris Agreement, because this initiative gives the meaning. Sharing of technologies, mobilization of financial resources is an example of what we wish to do in the course of the climate conference here in Paris, a conference that must serve to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions, and a conference that should ensure sustainable development, a conference that should serve in reducing inequalities, and above all, a conference that should serve as giving a well-being to all the populations of the planet. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable President. I now invite the Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, to address the August gathering.
President Hollande, Excellencies, industry leaders, let me begin once again by expressing solidarity with the people of France and our deepest admiration for being such an outstanding host to the world. In a difficult moment, to my long-cherished dream of an international alliance of solar-rich countries, President Hollande responded with keen interest and immediate and full offer of support. This is the inaugural day of a defining global conference on climate change. For his support at every step and his decision to co-chair the launch, I am deeply grateful. Just as positive was his response to the idea of a book of quotations on nature from the world to remind us all of our timeless wisdom. I am honored to co-author the preface with him. Since ancient times, different civilizations have given a special place to sun. In the Indian tradition, sun is the source of all forms of energy. As Rigveda says, sun god is the soul of all beings, moving and non-moving. Many in India begin their day with a prayer to the sun. Today, when the energy source of our industrial age have put our planet in peril, the world must turn to sun to power our future. As the developing world lifts billions of people into prosperity, our hope for a sustainable planet rests on a bold global initiative. It will mean advanced countries leaving enough carbon space for developing countries to grow. That is natural climate justice. It also means a growth path with lighter carbon footprint. So convergence between economy, ecology, and energy should define our future. The vast majority of humanity is blessed with generous sunlight round the year. Yet, many are also without any source of power. This is why this alliance is so important. We want to bring solar energy into our lives and homes by making it cheaper, more reliable, and easier to connect to grid. We will collaborate on research and innovation. We will share knowledge and exchange best practices. We will cooperate on training and building institutions. We will discuss regulatory issues and promote common standards. We will attract investment in the solar sector, encourage joint ventures, and develop innovative financing mechanisms. We will partner with other international initiatives on renewable energy. There is already a revolution in solar energy. Technology is evolving. Costs are coming down and grid connectivity is improving. It is making the dream of universal access to clean energy become more real. India has a capacity of 4 gigawatt, and we have set a target of adding 100 gigawatt of solar power by 2022. By the end of next year, we would have installed another 12 gigawatt. I am delighted with the industry response. As you put clean energy within the reach of all, it will create unlimited economic opportunities. That will be the foundation of the new economy of this century. This is an alliance that brings together developed and developing countries, governments and industries, laboratories and institutions in a common enterprise. India will be pleased to host this initiative at the premises of our National Institute of Solar Energy. We will provide land and contribute $30 million to build the Secretariat infrastructure. We will support operation for 5 years, and together we will raise long-term funds to achieve our prescribed goals. This day is the sunrise of new hope, not just for clean energy, but for villages and homes still in darkness, and for our mornings and evenings filled with a clear view of the glory of the sun. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Honourable Prime Minister. The Honourable President of France and the Honourable Prime Minister of India have jointly written the preface of a book entitled The Ecology of Our Worlds. The two leaders will now release the book. The Honourable Prime Minister of India will now present a music CD entitled Shanti Samsar to President Hollande. The CD comprises of songs dedicated to the environment. The Honourable Prime Minister of India has written a book entitled Convenient Action, which he would now present to the Honourable President of France. We would now play a music video called Samsar that has been composed by 7 celebrated Grammy Award-winning artists. It is noteworthy that none of these 7 artists charged their professional fee for this composition because of their belief in the cause of the environment and in the vision of the Honorable Prime Minister of India.
Children of the sun, though we may have forgotten, her song is still sung. No need to steal what she freely gives. No need to fear when she only knows love. Pain of a mother forsaken by her children forgotten. How long till we see she is none but us, and we are none but her, and we will always be one heart, one heart.
Om Deo Shantirantariksha Shanti Prithvi Shantirapah Shanti Roshadhayah Shanti Vanaspadayah Shantir Vishve Deva Shanti Brahma Shanti Sarvah Shanti Shantireva Shanti Sama Shantireti Om Shanti 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 Om.
Anne sevgisi sonsuzdur, henüz geç değil, halen değişebilirim. She is not but us, and we are none but her, and we will always be one heart, one heart. तुझसे ही उभरी, तुझ में है समाई जीवन शक्ति धरती माँ, हे
Shanti, Shanti, Om.
I now invite Honorable Minister of State for Power, Coal and New and Renewable Energy, Government of India, Mr. Piyush Goyal, to read the declaration of the International Solar Alliance.
Declaration on the occasion to launch the International Solar Alliance of countries dedicated to the promotion of solar energy. Recognizing that sustainable development, universal energy access, and energy security are critical to the shared prosperity and future of our planet, and acknowledging that clean and renewable energy needs to be made affordable for all, we do hereby declare our intention to support India's proposal to launch an international solar alliance as a common platform for cooperation among solar resource-rich countries lying fully or partially between the tropics of Cancer and Capricorn. United by a shared vision to bring clean, affordable, and renewable energy within the reach of all, we affirm our intention to join the International Solar Alliance as founding members to ensure the promotion of green, clean, and sustainable energy, and to draw on the beneficence of the sun in this endeavor. We share the collective ambition to undertake innovative and concerted efforts with a view to reducing the cost of finance and cost of technology for immediate deployment of competitive solar generation capacity in all our countries, and to pave the way for future solar generation, storage, and good technologies adapted to our country's individual needs. United by our objective to significantly augment solar power generation in our countries, we intend making joint efforts through innovative policies, projects, programs, capacity building measures, and financial instruments to mobilize more than $1,000 billion of investments that are needed by 2030 for the massive deployment of affordable solar energy. We recognize that the reduced cost of finance would enable us to undertake more ambitious solar energy programs to bring development and prosperity for our people. We intend working together towards the development of appropriate benchmarks, facilitating resource assessments, supporting research and development and demonstration facilities with a view to encouraging innovative and affordable applications of solar technologies. Desirous of establishing an international alliance of countries dedicated to the promotion of solar energy as an effective mechanism of cooperation, we agreed to create an international steering committee open to interested countries to provide the necessary guidance, direction, and advice to establish the International Solar Alliance. Declaration made at Paris on Monday, the 30th of November, 2015. Thank you.
I invite the Honorable Secretary General of the United Nations, Mr. Ban Ki-moon, to address the gathering.
Your Excellency, Mr. Francois Hollande, the President of France, Your Excellency, Mr. Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of India, distinguished heads of state and government, honorable ministers, Excellencies, Mr. Gerard Mestrale, Chief Executive Officer of ENGIE France, ladies and gentlemen, I am honored and pleased to join you for the launch of the International Solar Alliance. In September, Prime Minister Modi and more than 130 world leaders met at the United Nations in New York to adopt the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda. At the heart of the new agenda are the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which aim to eradicate extreme poverty and hunger, protect the environment, and promote a life of well-being and dignity for all. But to achieve Sustainable Development Goals, we must address climate change. This is the challenge and the opportunity to be seized here in Paris. We have one critical overarching priority at COP21. Government must adopt a robust universal climate change agreement. The direct, strong engagement of world leaders, including all those assembled here, in resolving the key political issues is essential for success. We need leadership from all the countries, including developing countries, to forge an equitable and ambitious agreement. A global agreement will send a clear signal that markets need to scale up investment in solar and other clean energies and to accelerate the low-carbon transmission of the global economy. With these steps, we can lower global emissions and achieve sustainable energy for all. An agreement must also provide a long-term vision that anchors the below 2 degrees Celsius goal and recognizes the imperative to strengthen resilience, particularly in developing countries. It is time for all countries to follow the path of consensus and meet at a middle ground to secure the common goal. That the well-being of future generations and of our planet rests on our decisions here in Paris. Ladies and gentlemen, in our world, we cannot have a perfect agreement. Of course, we work for perfection. But at this time, I know that still there are some unresolved issues, but all these unresolved issues have been discussed many, many years. You simply have not taken decisions. All the pending issues are on the table. You know what are the best. Let's meet at the middle ground. Please show some flexibility and sense of compromise for the common good. We cannot just go on like this way. We cannot waste any further time. This is the deadline where you yourselves have promised in 2011 in Durban. You said in declaration, joint communique, let's agree a universal, robust climate change agreement in 2015. In 2015. This is now December 2015. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, one of the key tools for combating climate change and promoting inclusive prosperity is sustainable energy. In that regard, I sincerely congratulate Prime Minister Modi for his vision and for his initiative to have this solar alliance. And that is why I established Sustainable Energy for All initiative in 2011. This is one of the most successful initiatives I have established as a Secretary General. Its aim is to bring key stakeholders together to support universal access of energy to all 7 billion people by 2030, to double the energy efficiency, and to double the use of renewable energy in global energy mix. Those are 3 targets. It seems to be ambitious, but this can be doable and achievable. These objectives are echoed in Sustainable Development Goals. Development Goal number 7. This is a standalone goal. Today, 1 person out of every 5 still lacks access to affordable, sustainable energy. I welcome again the initiative of Prime Minister Modi and the government of India in forming this International Solar Alliance. The United Nations will very closely work with you to make this solar alliance a great success. The broad support for this international coalition is a testament to the response of your vision of a solar-powered path to prosperity. As the Prime Minister Modi has said, we need, I quote, development without destruction. Solar energy offers major potential for reducing poverty and limiting greenhouse gas emissions. The International Solar Alliance will enable solar-rich developing countries to make the best use of an abundant, free, natural resources. This will strengthen their energy security, enhance energy access to the poor, reduce spending on costly imported fuel, and reduce demand for carbon-intensive power generation. I count on developed countries to partner with the International Solar Alliance by providing technology support, capacity building, and financial resources. All countries must be part of the solution. Prime Minister Modi, thank you for your vision and leadership. During my visit recently to India in January this year, I saw for myself the way your country is using ingenuity and cutting-edge technology to pave the way toward cleaner energy future. The Canal Top solar plant in Gujarat was one of the most impressive solar facilities I have ever seen, and congratulations for that. I thank all members and partners of this Alliance for Solar Energy, this commitment to a safer, more sustainable, and more prosperous future for all. I thank you for your commitment. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. And now I call upon Mr. Gerard Mestrale, the CEO of NG, to say a few words.
Monsieur le Président de la République,
President of the Republic, Prime Minister, Secretary General, Ministers, it is indeed a great honor for me to be invited to partake in this exceptional ceremony. Exceptional for several reasons. First of all, it is exceptional as a result of the size of the mobilization that we are observing today on the part of heads of states and governments, as well as the private sector, of energy suppliers, equipment suppliers, and financiers. This cooperation illustrates our common will to go forward, to attain ambitious objectives, to fight against climate change, and to place sustainable development at the very heart of our job, our professions. It is also exceptional because not just a few years ago, few people believed in solar energy. These technologies had spectacular development, and today the solar energy plays a key role in energy development. And it is also exceptional because it is taking place at a time when negotiations for climate change are more crucial than ever. President, the enterprises, the business world, private sector, we all wish for a big agreement in Paris. United States and China, India and Europe, solar is ready to attack the climate change and to transform the electrical industry. Why? Well, we believe that it is not a fashion. It is a revolution that is dictated by the will of peoples and technology. The interests of the state and the energy industry have found a meeting point in the solar, having become the source of energy with the strongest growth in a large part of the world. Why solar energy? Well, first of all, because of its respect for the environment, but also as a result of its capacity to bring down cost. 5 years barely, solar energy was a costly solution. Today, it has become perfectly competitive without subsidies in some regions, and soon it will be so in every part of the world. What is more, it is very flexible. and it can feed an electricity, a calculator, a home, and a whole city. That is why the private sector represented here today supports the creation of the International Solar Alliance. The private sector is ready to bring to the world solar solutions which are adapted. Ecology, energy, electricity suppliers such as ENGIE, my company. ENGIE is a worldwide energy player present on the 5 continents with 150,000 people, third largest electricity producer, biggest in energy efficiency. We're also the number 1 in the field of solar in France, and we've bought Solar Direct in India. Our role is to be useful to people and to be leaders in the solar energy transition worldwide. On behalf of the private sector, I would like to salute the avant-garde vision that you, the heads of states and government, you are developing today to help meeting the sustainable development objectives, universal access to energy and energy safety, in the creation of this platform, unique platform on the solar, with the will to adopt the right regulations. The solar sector will need 1.2 billion in investment by 2030. Private sector is ready to partake in this effort, representing 70% and participating in its development. Because the solar limits the emissions of CO2, and the world of finance has understood, I think this year, has understood that an ecological disaster which would be climate-related would indeed be a catastrophe in economic terms, destroying assets. I'd like to thank you for your will to associate the corporate world to this government action. I'm particularly attached to the mobilization of the private sector as a role of coordinator in the business dialogue that you have entrusted to me, a forum where ministers and international corporate leaders discuss of climate challenges, solutions, and the price of carbon. I can tell you that your joint declaration will, in the whole world, have a considerable impact on the private sector. And finally, to make sure that the private sector does respond to the expectations of heads of states and governments, we are launching today itself an initiative called Terawak, an organization which is non-profit making to favor this dialogue within the international private sector. This initiative will start without further ado to propose to the world of the International Solar Alliance tools and action plans. The International Solar Alliance is a message of peace, growth, and prosperity. The private sector, Mr. President, is there and ready. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mistrale. We are profoundly grateful to Your Excellencies for your support for the International Solar Alliance and for your esteemed presence at this event. Kindly note that the first meeting of the Steering Committee of the International Solar Alliance will take place between 9 and 10:45 a.m. in Observer Room number 1, Hall 4 at Le Bourget tomorrow. The information sheet is present in all your folders. I now request all presidents, prime ministers, vice presidents, and ministers who are leaders of the delegation to come to the stage for a family photo. Thank you.
समुद्रवसने देवी पर्वतस्तनमण्डले स्पर्शम क्षमस्व मे